So now I'm going to show you how to make my jollof. To start with, we need an onion, chopped up. So about a tablespoon of coconut oil. We need a couple of cloves of garlic. So to start with, I'm just going to pop in the onions. And then we're going to grate the garlic into the onion. So now we're going to put a chilli in. If you don't like chilli, obviously leave it out. But this whole process gives a sweetness to the dish. So now we want to grate up a couple of carrots. So grated carrot. So now we add in some fennel seeds. They give a bit of an aniseed flavour, and there's some unusual combinations of flavour here, but they all work really well together. So I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon. Just by doing this, it helps release the flavours. Oh, wow, aniseed. So what I'm going to do now is just pop in the spices into here, just so we can tip them into the pan in one go. 1 teaspoon of mixed herbs. And we're putting in a teaspoon of turmeric. And the spices. I'm just going to put in some raisins just to add a little bit of sweetness, and it's 1/4 cup you want. Just going to let it warm up again for a second. So here we've got 1½ cups of pure lentils. You can use other lentils, and if you use brown lentils, for instance, or red lentils, you won't need to do this step, but pure lentils are quite firm, their skin's a little bit tough. So I'm just going to process it in the blender, and I'm also going to put in the quinoa. It's a complete protein, it's a functional food, which means you get all of the nutrients that are in there. Your body processes them really well. So it's 2 cups of quinoa in a pan, rinsed, and then you want about 3½ cups of boiling water, a good teaspoon of salt. Bring it to the boil, just so it starts bubbling away. Put a lid on, and then set a timer for 12 minutes. This was made yesterday, and as I said, I just like to have quinoa in the fridge because it's so versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. In the recipe, you need 2 cups of cooked quinoa. I'm just putting in ½ cup of quinoa in here, just to help blend it up a little bit easier, and the rest we'll put in the pan with the grated carrot. So literally just a couple of pulses. All of the other ingredients into the pan. Turn the heat off. So we've already got in here the lentils and the quinoa. So that's 1½ and another half. We need ½ cup of buckwheat flour. You can use any sort of flour you've got, but buckwheat isn't actually a grain, it's actually a seed, and it works really well in this recipe. This is one recipe you don't need to sieve the flour. Our fabulous nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast, especially this particular one I buy, has got B12 in, which is in very short supply in most of the foods we eat, so any chance you get to have some extra B12, please do. So we need 3 level tablespoons. We need 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. So we need 2 tablespoons, or you can just give it a good shake. And I'm going to put in a beaten egg just to help bind it together. If you're a vegan, you can use flaxseed. One of the great things about this recipe, people seem to think that eating organically, eating healthily can be expensive. This whole jollof is probably, depending on where you get your ingredients from, between £6 and £8. It's exceptionally versatile and really good value for money. So we'll finish off with a little bit of salt and pepper. So what we're going to do now is just mix it all up very gently and then push down with the potato masher. Be careful not to push down so much that you scratch your pans. So here we've got a loaf tin, and for ease of use I use a liner. Again, I want to use ones that aren't going to be giving off any horrible toxic chemicals. And you might be thinking to yourself, are we really living in a world where food, various different things that we use on a daily life are causing us harm? Well, I'm afraid we are. And once you know, then you can change things, and it doesn't have to be hard or complicated. And when you start having more energy, more motivation, why would you want to go back? So now we'll just flatten it down. So now we're just going to pop this in the oven for about 20 minutes or so. So we'll just pop it in the oven for 20 minutes at 180 degrees. I'm just going to take it out of the oven. And there you have the jollof. You really want to be waiting 15 minutes, a bit like letting a joint of meat rest, because then it will make it a lot easier to cut. If you cut it up now, it could just collapse, and we want nice slices.